So Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles have got a big-time game this weekend against the New York Giants in the Divisional Round. They are the 1 seed in the NFC. There's been some conversations about Jalen Hurts and his health and his shoulder and all that. He spoke yesterday with the media about being a target in this game coming up.
It's football. I got a bounty on me every week. I go out there on the field, so go out there and just play my game. Whatever happens, happens.
So there it is, the Eagles quarterback.
Do quarterbacks ever have bounties going into games?
Brady did.
No, you're saying a bounty on their head?
Yeah. Did you ever go into?
You don't remember Bounty Gate and Brett Favre?
No, I'm saying, did you go out with one?
No,
Not one against you. Did you ever go out with a bounty like, I'm going to get that dude?
Yeah.
I'm going to collect the cash on him.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do it unless you just mean like purely offensively. I think I always think of that as like a physical thing.
Yeah.
Like in this case, like will there be defenders targeting, his shoulder, Jalen Hurts' shoulder when he runs?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah. And I was being sarcastic, by the way, and he is right there. I don't know that the bounties are real anymore, like in terms of how real they were before Bounty Gate hit. But I know when I played, and I was a part of that, that defensive coordinators, I was in his meeting rooms. And when I tell you
Greg Williams,
some of the conversations that were had in those rooms and what the prices were placed on would be considered to be, now that I'm a parent, disturbing, to say the least. It would be disturbing.
Because you wanted more. He wasn't offering enough.
No, it wasn't that we wanted.
Haggle him?
It wasn't that we wanted more. It was just that what the dollar amounts that were connected to what took place. That's some things just
different
whole,
NFL.
What was the you can't handle the truth. What was the name of that? You don't want to hear the truth of that. I mean, I'm sure some of the details came out in Bounty Gate anyway, but
yeah, they did.
Just to hear some of just the way. He would discuss. So, like, if we were going into this game with Jalen Hurts, just the way in which he would be discussed in that room is disturbing. Like I'm not even going for a laugh or for effect. I'm, like, being 100% dead serious.
Well, yeah, but that's just part of the deal, right? If he's coming in, because they're trying to say that he's full go, ready to go, everything. But there was a report that came out a few days ago that said that he's just going to have to play with pain in the postseason. Like, it's not going to heal this year, the injury that he's got. And it feels like that's kind of been a little under the radar and a little bit dismissed, because when he did come back, he wasn't all that great. And the only reason I think they brought him back is because they hadn't clinched home field yet. So I feel like Jalen Hurts isn't in a spot to where we're talking about the same guy 6-7 weeks ago who was in the MVP conversation. Like, he's got a legitimate injury that I just wonder how much that impacts him and what the plan is in this game coming up. 7.5-point favorites, by the way, in most places, those Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, they've handled the Giants in their two matchups against them. I mean, back in the middle of the season when you would say it was strength on strength, they handled them. But that last game looked a little closer. Daniel Jones didn't even play in that one. So
it's a different team. That Giants team is a different team. They're hitting a different stride than what they were during the course of the season. They have steadily climbed and have kind of evolved into a formidable team. Well, I'll say this about Jalen Hurts. The one thing I'm curious about is when you're going into a game as big as this, and you are dealing with an injury that's still continuing to heal. Do you have any thought in terms of how you approach the game? Like, if this were you, the things that you normally do, are you still going to normally do, or are you going to think more about some of the things that could happen if you do the same exact things? Like, if Jalen Hurts has the opportunity, they run a lot of read quarterback sneaks, like read sneaks, stuff like that. They run a lot of – they're able to create a rhythm of calling plays based upon their usage of Jalen really reading defenses and getting out there and running. If he's really trying to avoid getting his shoulder hurt Is he thinking about that going into the game, and how does that impact the game plan? Because that has made them more of a dynamic running team, and it opens up their passing game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they need him to be able to run, and they need the threat of him running in order to be truly effective. The problem is I still think with the personnel they have on the outside, they're still going to be effective. You know, he's in a position where they've got speed, they've got playmakers, and so he doesn't have to carry this team. I mean, Miles Sanders is a heck of a running back. Like half the time, I was asking myself, why aren't they running the football more with him? But with his shoulder, with Lane Johnson, what he's dealing with, who's not at full strength, we've seen what the Eagles look like when their offensive line isn't playing at a high level. I think it's going to be a tough game. Like that spread is a tough number because if you watch the entire season, you could see this game going, you know, the way of which Philly at home kind of controls all of it. But to LaVar's point, the Giants are playing at a high level, and they've got nothing to lose. No one thought they were going to be here. They weren't even the favorite, obviously, in Minnesota. Back-to-back weeks on the road, they probably feel fine about it. But they're going to need, I mean, think about this. They're going to need Daniel Jones to play the best game of his life again. He was phenomenal last week. They're going to need him to do it again. Can he do it again? Like this, I don't want to say he bet on himself because he wasn't really in the position to bet on himself. They just didn't pick up the fifth-year option. It's almost like they bet against him and he kind of proved them wrong. And now the Giants are potentially going to have to pay him. So he's going to have to continue to play well and earn himself some more money. I think that's what this game's more about to me. This game's more about whether or not Daniel Jones can play the way he showed us last week again, more so than Jalen Hurts. Because I don't think the Eagles have to play their best game to beat the Giants. I do think Daniel Jones has to play his best game to beat the Giants. And I think Saquon, they're going to have to stop him and all that.
Yeah.
And does Daniel Jones' situation remind you of Alex Smith? When everyone thought they had him penned as, well, this guy is not going to amount to anything that he was drafted at. He's going to be a quote-unquote bust. And then Jim Harbaugh got there, figured out a way to sort of build an offense around Alex Smith, and next thing you know, they're making a deep run in the playoffs. He ends up in Kansas City, helped turn around that franchise in the MVP conversation.
The only tough thing is he got replaced by Kaepernick, so it's a little different, right?
I mean, what's he up to, by the way? We have any?
I don't know, but that's the difference. Is like the team, he led him to a certain point, then kind of Kaepernick came over, and that was. Because he got hurt in the one game, right? And Kaepernick came in. The rest was kind of history.
Concussion.
Which, by the way, this would be the time of the year for them to bring in Kaepernick or OBJ. I mean, considering how his workouts have gone when he's gone to work out, this would be the time to bring in Cap.
Yeah. Totally.
Reliever duties.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like, let's get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah. That's what you need.
Yep.
Just cut the line, go straight to the postseason.
Yeah,
but
he needs a regular season.
I mean, if Brian Daboll's not coach of the year, we should protest outside the NFL
Unless
offices.
Doug Peterson gets it.
Come on, man. Not based on where the organization was at with those two players. Doug Peterson took over, and it's been fun. But the Giants were.
It's been pretty traumatic.
Yeah, bro. Like way more traumatic.
I mean, they had the number one pick this year.
It's way more traumatic.
I get it, but he also had two players, did Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, that everyone thought it was over. And those two guys are starring in the postseason.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I don't know that anyone thought it was over for Saquon Barkley.
Maybe for Daniel Jones.
The organization was the one that made that decision, by the way. Like, that's their own doing. And look, they might sign him to an extension. We'll see what that number looks like, but I'm not so sure I'm sold on that working out long term. Like, if you could get Aaron Rodgers, if you're the New York Giants, you could get Aaron Rodgers. Would you take Rodgers over Daniel Jones?
Yes.
I would.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been close.
Yes.
I mean, God, you're really going to throw dirt on Daniel Jones like that?
Nobody threw dirt.
No one threw dirt. I just kind of pointed out a logical
question. It's a better quarterback.
Leading rusher. So you think there's a chance Daniel Jones is not the quarterback for the Giants next year?
No, he's going to be the quarterback there next year. They'll probably have the franchise tag if they can't agree to a long-term contract. But I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't sign like a 3-year extension. where he gets paid $35 million a year and he gets like 70, 60 million, up front. And then they play this out for another couple of years. And then they see at that point. Like, that would be ideally, I think, how this all plays out.
Yeah, well, good for Dayballs. By the way, the latest odds have Nick Sirianni as the coach of the year, followed by Kyle Shanahan and then Brian Daboll. So Sirianni's at plus 125. Really? Kyle Shanahan 2-1, and Daboll.
It is. They're just going with the favorites then.
Yeah,
they're just going with like the good teams.
Yeah.
I mean,
what about the turnarounds like the Giants and Jags?
But Sirianni really has taken. I mean, not the last.
They were a playoff team last year, though.
Yeah, they were, but they're better. They were better this year. Like, they were convincingly differently. Yeah, they were better this year.
Yeah. So
they're different.
Yeah, different.
They're just different, man.
Just different.
Just different.
They're just different, man.
Different. Did we say they were different?
Or they're different.